Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a worth the buy or not foundation review. I'm so excited because I am officially back with the foundation reviews. It's been like a week since I've done a foundation review because I was out of town traveling and I was living my best life, but I am back and I am so ready to be on camera for you guys and bring you guys some really awesome videos. So stay tuned because I have a lot of really good foundation reviews coming up. And I also cut my hair. This was the last little thing that I was going to do to my hair transformation, was cut it. I'm going to go into major detail as to why I cut it, why I dyed it black, and all that jazz in a video coming up very soon. It's going to be my hair transformation video, so stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a good one. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to go ahead and just get right into this foundation review. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. Now the reason why I decided to review this foundation was because Charlotte Tilbury recently went into Sephora's, and if you guys know me, I am a huge Sephora girl. Like, I will always be shopping at Sephora, and I've seen this brand in other department stores, but I just don't really shop at other department stores besides like Sephora and Ulta, sometimes Nordstrom's for beauty. But when I saw that they had it, I was like, let me try this. And then they had the foundation, and this is supposed to be a flawless, long-lasting coverage. I was like, sign me up ASAP. So I'm really excited. Ooh, and then on the side it says flawless, poreless, youthful looking skin every day. That's like everybody's dream. So I'm just going to really be testing this out and seeing if this is worth the money or not. I do want to say I think this foundation was like $45 or so. I will have the exact price linked down below. You can find this at Sephora now. So I'm going to be just testing this baby out. So before we start off with the foundation, I'm going to go ahead and just prep my skin. I'm going to be using some moisturizer as well as some primer. So today I'm going to actually switch things up. I'm going to be using the Tatcha water cream. And the reason I am using this right now is because I just got back and my skin is a little bit dehydrated. I am not going to lie. Also my cheeks, the rosacea has been a little bit rough. My cheeks especially have been extremely kind of like flaky. It just happens when you have rosacea. Everywhere else, of course, is still oily hot mess. So I felt like the water cream was appropriate today. It's also really early in the morning, so it's really good when you have a nice gel-like consistency that can kind of give you that very like refreshed, cooling effect. So this is just a really good situation for me today. I know that the Sephora holiday sale is going on right now. Last weekend it was for the rouges, and then this coming weekend it's for everybody. So if you are a VIB or just an insider, and rouges will get a second weekend to shop. So if you're looking for a good hydrating, moisturizing, lightweight moisturizer, definitely check out Tatcha. It is expensive. It's Tatcha. Tatcha's always on the pricey side, but it's really worth your dinero. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our primer. So we're gonna let this kind of sit in our skin. I always like to let it sit on the skin, the moisturizer, because it really just absorbs into the skin super fast, especially if your skin is already a little bit dehydrated. It's gonna be like, so right now I'm gonna be using the Revlon Pore Reducing Primer. You guys know that I talked about this and I really am a big fan of it, especially if you have very enlarged pores. I personally only like to use it in the areas where I do suffer from enlarged pores. Everywhere else I kind of use something different, but I'm just going to be applying it right near my nose. Just right here on this little edge. Like all about pore minimizing. This is supposed to be a poreless foundation, but if I can reduce my pores a little bit more with an actual primer, I will do so. Actually, I'm pretty much done with my Fenty Beauty primer by Rihanna, but we're just gonna take a little bit of it and apply it on our forehead. You don't need that much. I just really love this primer. It's like such a good primer, especially if you have like skin that doesn't really have that much problems. This is always a good thing to use. I just kind of always, I feel like this is just the go-to where like, if you're just looking for a good primer that's going to make your makeup stay, that's a good primer. I feel like it's very universal. It works really well with a lot of skin types. It's not gonna mattify you or like, you know, do like huge astronomical changes, but I feel like what it does do is make your makeup stay on all day long, and that's very appreciated. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the foundation, and we're just gonna go ahead and open it. Let's see, where are my little scissors? They always just lock it in there so nobody can open it, which is always great. So you know nobody's opened your bottle. That would really suck. So this is what the foundation looks like. This is in the shade 7. I'm hoping that this shade works out for me. This is very beautiful, luxurious packaging, I have to say. I feel like Charlotte Tilbury is a very luxurious brand. I mean, it's high-end, obviously, but this is luxury, people. So this foundation comes with a pump like this, and we're just gonna go ahead and start off. Ooh, I hope this works for me. So this is shade 7, as you can see. I'm hoping that it's not too light, but we will see. So I'm getting a little bit more on my like winter skin tone right now, so I think this may work out. Like you can see, my neck is a little bit lighter. I feel like also having really dark hair like kind of makes you a little bit more pale looking. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with this side, which is the sponge side. I'm just using my Morphe sponge. This is damp. And then on this side, we're gonna go ahead and do our brush. So let's go ahead and just start because I'm getting excited and this looks kind of light. Okay, so I'm just gonna be dotting this. This one is probably, we'll have to see. It looks a little light, but we will have to see. That's the only thing that sucks about ordering foundations online is that sometimes you just don't know. And the thing about Charlotte Tilbury is that they don't sell this in all stores. They only sell it in like 2 stores near me, and they're super far away. Like they're like an hour and some change away. So that's why I never went to the store to get it, because I was like, this is just too far for me. It's very fresh and healthy. It looks like skin, and it blended out really easily, which is good. I have to say, I feel like this is more of a buildable foundation. I don't think that it's a foundation that right away you're gonna get full coverage. It does look more on the fresh, dewy side. Like it doesn't look like it's one of those foundations that is matte. Like I just feel like I look more radiant. There's places where my rosacea is where I definitely still need more coverage. So what we're gonna do is we are going to go ahead and take a little bit more of the foundation. I feel like I should have gone with shade 8. That probably would have been a better fit. This is how much I pumped out the second time. And let's just use our fingers to dot it. Okay. Yeah, I feel like with 2 layers it covered. Now it definitely looks like a more fuller coverage situation on the skin. I feel like with 1 layer, it was kind of like medium coverage, better for somebody that has like pretty evened out skin that doesn't have any rosacea or any type of situation they want to cover. But for somebody that has rosacea, you're definitely gonna have to build on this foundation. It's a buildable foundation. Even so, I still feel like you can kind of see some of my imperfections, but we can just go ahead and conceal those later. It's not a really big deal. It applied it pretty well with my sponge. Gave it like a nice healthy finish. It definitely has a little bit of a glow to it, so I wouldn't say it's a matte foundation. It doesn't claim to be matte, but for somebody who's looking into this foundation, you're like, oh, is it gonna kind of be more on the matte side? No, I feel like you do get kind of like a little bit of a radiance here, which isn't bad. It's nothing too crazy, but we will definitely see how that does later on in the day. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do this side, and for this side, we're going to be using our brush. Today, I'm going to be using my Delium Tools Golden Triangle Collection Kabuki brush. This is in the Precision Kabuki. It looks like this. And I'm going to be taking my foundation once again. I have to say the finish of this foundation, like the texture of it when you pump it out, it's definitely more on the creamy side. It's not runny, but it definitely looks very moisturizing. It also feels very moisturizing. So that's the type of wear that you get out of this foundation. It doesn't really smell like anything. I feel like usually some like very high-end foundations kind of smell, but this has no smell, so that's a plus. Because I know sometimes some people don't like having scents to their foundation, and I totally get it. Okay, I feel like that covered equally. You can still kind of see some of my redness right here. So I definitely feel like the foundation is for sure buildable, because you're gonna have to like add a little bit more to really cover everything. But I feel like with either or the sponge or the brush, I feel like it applies it the same way. The consistency looks exactly the same on the skin. I feel like it also blends out very nicely, evenly. It just is the same type of situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another layer because we definitely need it, especially on my rosacea skin. And I'm just gonna go ahead thank God that it kind of goes along better with my skin now, like my fall and winter shade, because my summer shade would not, it just would not be happening for me. This cheek area is always the area where we have to really go to town with it. I can't wait to have my makeup on. I feel really weird right now. I feel like ghostly looking. I think it's because I have a little bit of leftover under eye makeup. That's why it kind of looks weird. But don't worry, shortly I'll look like a human and not like ghostly. This is what it looks like with the product on both sides. Like I mentioned, I feel like it looks really nice either or. The finish is definitely a little bit more luminous. I feel like I still have a little bit of luminosity on this side, but I feel like it looks a little bit more of like a radiance from within. It doesn't look like really super glowy. I feel like once it sets on the skin, it sets pretty nicely. I feel like it definitely looks like the foundation isn't just laying on top. I think that can be the problem sometimes with certain foundations, is that you'll look up close and it legit looks like you have like this thick situation of makeup slash foundation on your skin. And this one definitely looks like it's kind of like a radiance and kind of like a evening out type of product that just kind of gives you more of an even complexion without it like looking super cakey or like you have a whole different like heavy makeup on you. I'm definitely going to have to do a little bit of some powdering on the skin because like I mentioned, there's some radiance that's peeking through that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's okay because we can easily just go back and do any final touches to it. I will be letting you guys know if I do final touches, which I probably am going to be doing because I definitely want to have a little bit more of a matte situation because I do see the radiance in here. But for somebody that has like normal to like dry skin but not too dry, I think this can give you a really pretty radiance. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop looking like this. I can't get over how like dark my eyes look because of that leftover eyeliner that just wouldn't go away. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my face and I will come back and give you guys my very first impressions on this Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation because I definitely am really curious to see how it's gonna perform long term. So if you want to see my thoughts and know what I'm thinking and find out if this is worth the buy or not, then stay tuned. Okay, so it is now 9:10 a.m. So we probably took about, I wanna say like 45, no, I think an hour, legit an hour, because I started watching Kardashians, the latest episode, and I just finished it. So it took me an hour to do this full face of makeup. I will have all the details on this makeup in the description box down below, but I do have to say this makeup is very similar to a makeup tutorial that I just did. It was on the Makeup Geek palette, so I will have that linked up here so you guys can go ahead and check that one out if you want to learn how to create this eye. Very, very similar situation to that, but yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about this foundation. So I actually went ahead and set my foundation. What I did was I used a little bit of the Airspun powder. I always bake my under eyes because of the creasing. So I went ahead and baked the under eyes, and then whatever residue I had left over from the bake once I wiped it off, I kind of used it around the areas where I was getting a little bit dewy or like it was shining a little bit. And basically that area was like around the cheeks and then also a little bit on the forehead and kind of on my smile lines. So that kind of cleared it up, and I feel like it made it look much better. So that was definitely a positive thing, because I did feel like had a little too much radiance for my taste, especially if you guys have oily skin, you know what I'm talking about. So that was just one thing to note. But I think that the foundation set pretty well. I do think that the color isn't too bad once it sets in the skin. I did go ahead and bronze a little bit. I used my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and that kind of helped a little bit, but I feel like the shade wasn't too bad because, like I mentioned, I am getting a little bit more of my fall winter shade coming through, but I probably would want to go in with the shade 8, which is the next shade up, because I feel like that one may be a better fit. But the foundation looks pretty good. It definitely like blends right into the skin. It doesn't look like it's heavy duty or anything like that. But I do have to say that the only thing that I noticed that I wasn't a big fan of is that I feel like it didn't really do anything for my pores. It did claim to be a more poreless finish, but I feel like I really wasn't seeing that with this. So that's just something for you guys to know. So I'm gonna go ahead and carry on with the rest of my day, and then I will let you guys know how this foundation does at the very end of the day. Like always, give you guys my final thoughts and let you guys know if this foundation is worth the buy or not. Real quick, I was just looking at this. This does have sunscreen. It has sunscreen 15, but we've talked about this before here on my channel. Anything under 25 doesn't really do anything. Like, it really doesn't do anything to the skin. So I don't know if I personally would say, okay, go out and get this for the sunscreen, or if you're somebody that likes to wear sunscreen in their foundation, if it's really going to do anything for you, because I feel like 15 SPF really won't do anything for you. So that's just something to note. Also, this does have 1.0 ounces, so it has pretty much standard size. I like the packaging, very luxurious. Like I mentioned, it has the pump and everything. So that's nice, but of course, what matters the most is if this is going to be a long-wearing, long-lasting foundation. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and keep tabs on, and I will be back at the end of the day. I feel like I look very fall-esque today with my nice sweater, nails, and hair and makeup. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this look be seen out in public, and I'll be back with you guys in a few hours and let you guys know if this is worth our $45 or not, so stay tuned. Okay, so I am officially back. It is now 8 p.m. at night. It's been a very long day. The last time that I saw you guys was, I think, 9 a.m.? Yeah, I think so. So it's been a really long day, and I think I have some well-developed thoughts on this foundation right here. As you can see, I'm looking super duper duper oily, especially for some reason on this side of my face. I don't know what's going on, the difference. I literally use the same exact products on both sides of my face. The only difference is this side was with a brush, this side with a sponge, but I don't think that means anything. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do before we start is I'm gonna go ahead and blot some of this, because I definitely want to kind of get rid of the oil so that we're not like, looks nasty. So I'm just gonna be taking my sponge, and I'm just going to be kind of dabbing that oil off, which is always a plus. And I do have to say that when I'm dabbing it, I'm not seeing the product come off. So that's definitely a positive thing. I know sometimes when you dab the foundation and kind of try to set it or like powder it or remove that shine, some foundations, it will legit come off the face and it will separate and it will just look really nasty. But I have to say that this foundation, it's still perfectly in place. It's intact. It's not budging. It's not coming off. So that's a good thing. I do have to say though, through the day, as I was observing the foundation and making sure that everything looked intact, I was really impressed with how it was staying on the skin. And you can see that it still looks good. Now that I did go ahead and just kind of dab those oils, it looks way better, and I feel like we could still go a few more hours with it. So I have to say that if you're somebody that has oily skin, you are going to have to blot your oils because it is going to get oily through the day. I do have to say that I think this foundation is geared more towards like people that have normal to dry skin, like I mentioned earlier. I feel like for them, it will definitely give them a more smooth, I don't want to say matte, but I think on them it will just look much more oil-free. It will look really nice. You may have a little bit of radiance, but it's going to look like a radiance from within, as opposed to somebody with oily skin where it definitely looked like we were glowing a little bit. So I have to say that for me, it's not worth it for somebody that has oily skin, because I feel like I have other foundations that can just do everything, can do the long lasting effect, but can also make this stay oil-free for much longer. So that's just my opinion. I feel like for $45, I can find a good matte foundation that will do all this. Now, what I am curious to try from this collection of Charlotte Tilbury is their pressed powder. It's supposed to be, I think, like an airbrush pressed powder. I've seen really good reviews on it, and I think I may give that one a go. Just for like everyday retouches, I think that would be pretty cool. But as for the foundation, I feel like for me, this wouldn't be the best. And like I mentioned, this wouldn't be one of those that I gravitate towards like immediately when I see it. So that's just my personal opinion. As for the color number 7, it wasn't too bad, but I definitely feel like if I had to repurchase it again, or if you're around my complexion and you do plan on purchasing it, I would get probably shade 8 because I feel like 7 was a little tiny bit on the lighter side. But that's just me. So yeah, I think that completes this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching it and you learned something new about this new Charlotte Tilbury foundation that is now sold at Sephora. Those are all my thoughts. If you guys have any thoughts on this new Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation, let me know what you think of it down below in the comment section. Like I mentioned, I will have everything listed in my description box so you guys can go ahead and check the product out and also know what I'm wearing on my face. And if you guys enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It lets me know to continue doing these types of videos. Let me know what you want to see next foundation review wise. I know there's a lot of good foundations out in the market right now. I have a few that I'm going to be uploading very soon. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. I would love for you to become a member of family here on YouTube because I wouldn't want you guys to miss my videos for the world. So go ahead and subscribe. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time that I upload a video because I wouldn't want you guys to not see my videos as soon as I post them because let's be real, they're the best. So I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye guys.